All right, welcome back. And this morning, we're also asking you on a social media platform whether you agree with the results that were released yesterday when it comes to the census report at KTN News KE at Zeta Brenda, beginning with the hashtag KTN News Center. Now, before we took a short break, my colleague Hamza Yusuf got the sentiments of residents of Tana River County who were not agreeing with the figures that were released yesterday because some pastoralists had to move from Tana River to other counties to look for pasture. Now, this morning, we're having this discussion with the Tongaran Member of Parliament, Eseli Simiu, and also Daniel Juma, Executive Director of Global Peace Foundation. And just before we took a short break, Honorable Simiu, my question is, so now Tana River County, the numbers has gone down because pastoralists moved from Tana River to other counties to look for pasture. There is a possibility of just doing away with some constituencies. But at the end of the day, these same pastoralists will come back to their counties expecting services, yet the allocation will have gone down, not like the 2009 census, because that is what the figures that the government used for distribution of funds.
I think on the issue of constituencies, I know it's a very sensitive political matter, and you can rest assured that any people who have a constituency, to lose it will be very difficult. So yeah, I think it's something that we need to really address very carefully when we start talking of reducing constituencies and so on. It's not something that comes easily, especially as you mentioned in the pastoralist areas, since they are always on the move. It will be wrong to remove a constituency just because of the census results. Yet we know very well that these are highly mobile people. That's why I was saying that to decide to remove a constituency is not an easy matter. To decide that is not an easy matter.
All right.
Because you remove a constituency from somewhere to go and, like for me coming from Bungoma, I believe we need more constituencies. But then I'm also aware that to remove a constituency from, say, Madhioya and bring it to Bungoma might not be a very good idea.
All right.
Maybe you just have to find a way of how to give me another constituency in Bungoma without removing it from Madhioya. So this is a very sensitive matter.
All right. All right. And Mr. Juma, when the government was taking, the census exercise, and my focus is basically in the northeastern region where we have a lot of movements of pastoralists. Was there a need for that to be indicated, that some families had migrated because they're looking for pasture?
Yes, absolutely. I think there was a need for that information to come out. And if they come to your house and let's say they find the mother alone, they should have been able, the mother should have been able to say that my husband is out looking for pasture in the neighboring constituency, so that figure could have been taken into account. Ideally, that's what should have happened, because I remember, for example, when they came to my house, my wife and kids were away in Canada, and I do not know whether their number, counted or not. I think that was very, very important. And Brenda, if we deployed, digitization into even doing all this, then it's going to help us to be able to actually get the real figures that we're looking for, because, and if the process starts from identification, from birth, because I believe, there is a registration of birth. We can track the number of people who are born in Kenya. And also there is a digital registration of deaths. So I'm sure even this exercise doesn't necessarily have to be 10-year exercise. It should be continuous. So government should be able to periodically update population, given, looking at the numbers of deaths, and reconciling the numbers so that it doesn't come as a shock. Right. But after 10 years, the population of this place has gone down or up. I think there needs to be, especially the Ministry of ICT and the Ministry of, they really need to look at this and find out which are the ways that we can actually do this in a more believable manner than it is now. All
right, let's go back now to the counties. Let's break down to the counties, and I'll start with you, Honorable Simiu. There's some leaders from the Western region who are actually questioning these figures. They believe that the population of the Western region is way higher, than what has been given.
I'm in support of what they are saying, because I come from there and I realize that I think the population has been understated. And I'll tell you that it's good to come up with credible figures, but when you come up with figures that clash, like look at this, let me just pick an example of Makueni. Makueni, when it comes to their table 2.2, distribution of population by sex and county, Makueni has 987,653 people. Then you come to another figure here, another table here, 2.6, distribution of population by number of households and average household by sub-county. You get to Makueni, and now Makueni has got 977,015. A reduction in the same document. You know, when you have such things clashing, it makes the credibility of the figures questionable, because you can't have Makueni now suddenly reduce by almost 10,000, 20,000, or in the same document. It doesn't make sense.
So as you're looking at that breakdown, a huge difference, because 10,000 is not a little number.
It's not a little number.
It's a huge number. So is there are we looking for a possibility where we'll see members of parliament on the floor of the House asking for this exercise to be redone, because questions of credibility are being questioned?
It's true, because we are not happy about that result, because we believe that there is more. And you remember there was a time we expected that they will increase the period. But then they said, no, it will end. And it ended. So we are not sure whether they'd finished the enumeration when the exercise actually ended.
You know, I'm tempted to ask you then, how do you know that the population of Western region is higher than this? Because, I mean, we need also credible evidence.
Yeah, because the reason is I live there. And I was there in the population census of 2009, and we've seen the changes that's happening, the land fragmentation, sharing land here and there, the numbers of the children, like in some of my schools, the secondary schools now, where you get a day school with a population of over 1,000 learners. So that already is an indication to me as to how the population is growing. So when you eventually come with figures that show that it has grown much less. That's why I was saying it's good when they bring these figures. They should also come with other explanatory issues, like is it the death rate that has gone up that curtailed the growth, or what is it?
All right, so what is it? Before I take your sentiment, Mr. Juma, let me link up with my colleague, George Maringa in Meru County. And Meru has a very interesting case, because the county governor of Meru County, George Maringa, good morning, is claiming that some of the residents of Meru County were actually counted in Isiolo County and not Meru County, hence the reason as to why he's threatening to move to court.
Indeed, Brenda, indeed, and the contentious issue is the 1.5, the number that is the 1.5, and he claims that actually some of those who were counted in the census were actually enumerated in Isiolo County instead of Meru County as it was supposed to be, and these are some of the contentious places, or rather where Meru and Isiolo meet, and of course residents who stay there. But to just get a deeper perspective, because the population has grown. 1999 it was 1.1 million. 2009 it was 1.3, and then this current census has revealed that they are 1.5 million. However, the leaders, including Kiraitu Mrongi and a few and others, argue that actually the number should be high. And I'll engage some of the MCAs from those regions of Meru County, starting with Victor Kareithi, who is the MCA of Thwanawad, who is also the majority leader in the County Assembly of Meru. Mheshimiwa, what is the issue of concern with these results?
Yeah, first of all, we want to register our disappointment with the National Bureau of Statistics, because we believe that they didn't do proper background checks to verify where these areas lie. And I think they must have seen all the dry parts and lumped that up as Isiolo, whereas it is very clear between Meru and Isiolo that Iwaso Nyiro River is the main boundary between the two counties. And generally that area, people are pastoralists. So I think there must have been a disconnect, because those who are enumerating may have felt that anybody who is a pastoralist must be from Isiolo County. So it is clear that areas like Ndoleli, areas like Gashuru, which are clearly in Meru, not even close to the boundary, were wrongly captured as being in Isiolo. And unbelievably, even the County Commissioner of Meru, Alan Masharia, wrote a protest letter early enough, and we are disappointed because some of these anomalies should have been corrected in good time to avoid all this confusion, because then there is a risk of upping the tension between counties just because of some carelessness of perhaps an individual or a few people who may have not meant well, bad, but in the process, because of lack of proper guidance, they erred grossly. So we are disputing the figures. We are yet to clearly verify the figures, study the figures, before we issue the specifics on the figures that we would want, considered as Meru. All along, we've been getting a raw deal as Merians, and time is over now. We won't allow anybody to take advantage of the Meru people, because we realize that the population density needs to be considered. And it has not as such, in the past. Yes.
Fantastic. As you wind up, Mheshimiwa, tell me your name and the word that you represent. The numbers as conflicting, and do you share his sentiments? And probably, what was the number that you expected the total population in Meru County? Above 1.5 million or below 1.5 million?
Okay, thank you. My name is Romano Mweto. I'm the MCA for Kangeta Ward, which is in Egembe Central. Of course, the population, we expected the population to be much more higher, because according to our assessment and as leaders, we expected Meru population to be over 2 million. And as my colleague has said about those areas are inside Meru County. And those parts were counted as parts of Isiolo, like areas like Epiding, which is in Special Ward, Garemara, areas like Ndoleli, Kachiuru. Those are places which are in Meru County. There's also a place called Kena. There are two Kenas. There are some Kena in Isiolo and some Kena as a part called Kena in Meru. So they counted the Kena of Meru as part of Isiolo. So I believe the population of Meru is supposed to be much higher, and that's why we as leaders, we want the Kenya Bureau of Standards to revisit those results and give the correct statistics about the population of Meru, because by taking some part of Meru, like Epiding, we were the other day commissioning a borehole, which has been dug by the county government of Meru, but when the KNBS people came, they counted those people as people of Isiolo. So we expect something to be done. Otherwise, we'll take action as leaders and with the guidance of our governor, because we believe Meru should have much population. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue this discussion, but I have to hand back due to time. But yesterday we did have the Chief of Staff of Meru, Gideon Kimathi, issuing a press statement on behalf of the governor, saying that actually they will also move to court due to dispute the 1.5 million figure that has been given or has been issued by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics after the 2019 census. Remember, Meru borders Isiolo, and so these are some of the areas that have been mentioned here that are contentious, and the people living in those areas, especially Bori and also the Special Ward, the Ngaremara, have been enumerated as part of Isiolo County, and that is the issue of concern, Brenda.
All right, thank you, George Maringa. And with that effect, it has made Isiolo County, to have population growth. And it's not only Isiolo, that's recording that. We also have the Tharaka-Nithi Governor Muthomi Njuki saying that he's moving to court because he's also questioning the numbers of the Tharaka-Nithi County, because the Tharaka-Nithi is among counties that has recorded low population increases at 27,847. Thank you so much, George Maringa. You continue giving us an update from your side. Now, Mr. Juma, you've had it from MCAs of Meru County questioning the authenticity, the credibility of this exercise. And it's not only, Kiraitu Murungi of Meru County, also have Muthomi Njuki of Tharaka-Nithi County.
Yes, absolutely. I think those are legitimate concerns, and I think, and rightfully, the Kenya Bureau of Statistics even before releasing the results, apart from coming up with the notes that Honorable is talking about, I think even a period of verification should have been very necessary, you know, together with the stakeholders from those areas. You know, just look at the numbers and see whether, those are the figures on the ground. As you know, they always say, vitu viko different kwa ground. Yeah. So clearly, just like you've said, Isiolo and Meru, I think when the governors talk the way they talk, clearly there could be a reason. And these are governors of those areas, and you know they deal with numbers. You know they have resources, and you know they live there, and I mean they definitely know their counties. So I don't want to sit here and dismiss their fears or allegations, but I think the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics should be able to relook at those figures. But I don't know, again, they're saying that they're going to go to the courts. But as you can see, even the judiciary now has its challenges. I don't know whether they will be able to look and adjudicate on those matters to the satisfaction of the people. Right. But let's wait and see. All right, let's wait and see. Yeah. And gentlemen, I believe you've had a look at the Standard, and I'd urge even of you to buy the Standard newspaper today. I like the front page, what it says, census a shock for big tribes. Get a hold of the Standard newspaper to read more of that details. And the reason as to why I'm talking about the Standard newspaper, that, you know, the headline of census shock for big tribes, it's talking about 2022 politics. Yeah. So, Honorable Simiu, how does 2022 politics come into this? Unfortunately, we have to go to politics when it comes to census. But before I comment on that, I would say that Kenya National Bureau of Statistics making that mistake in Meru, Isiolo, it's not new. They did that in the last census between Busia and Bungoma, where they took some location from Busia and put it in Bungoma. And that sort of thing causes acrimony between communities. It is not right, and the Bureau should get their act together so they don't come up with such a thing. Now, the issue of politics, of course, it's about votes, because votes are people, and that's the population. So I think that's why they would talk about a shocker for the big tribes. But really, I don't see where the shocker really is, because the growth mainly has been as expected, in the trend as expected. Only the absolute numbers are what we are questioning. So it's not, when you talk of a shocker for the big tribes, I don't really know why the basis for it, because in fact, when you read the article further, they talk about the fact that in Mount Kenya area, the number of voters is almost 57% of the population, while in other areas is 30% of the population. I think that matter needs to be investigated further. We should not just leave it there. Why is it 30% in other places and 50 to 57% in Mount Kenya region? There is something more there that we need some explanation on, right. Because it can't be that Mount Kenya area is so unique that over half the population votes, while in other places it's only 30% of the population that votes. I think this census, we need more information to know what is the age distribution of that population. All right. If the age distribution is in Mount Kenya mainly are over 18, then we would understand that. Then that will mean they've got fewer children under 18. Then again, we don't expect that kind of population growth if that were the case. All right, the reason as to why... Just like I say, in the northeastern counties, where the women are fewer than the men, like the Isiolo we are talking about, having shown population growth, yet the women are fewer than men. All right. When women are fewer than men, you don't expect that kind of population growth. All right, Mr. Juma, the reason as to why I talked about the census shock for the big tribe is because come 2022, I mean, politicians will be using these numbers to woo supporters. Yes, absolutely. And of course, politics is about numbers. And you realize during the last elections, you know, they had this talk about the tyranny of numbers. But Brenda, the biggest shock shock maybe will come after the registration of voters. Just like he said, a big population, does not, automatically translate into big voting blocks. I think we will wait, and I know there is a continuous voter registration ongoing right now. I think those tribes or those blocks, I hate talking about tribes, that are able to mobilize their people to register as voters are the ones that are going to actually play a big role in 2022. So the fact that we have big tribes right now, if they do not engage, if they don't take part in the civic process, if they don't register as voters, they don't come out to vote, and also they don't learn to vote as a bloc, then the numbers are not really worth mentioning when it comes to political decision 2022. Look at, for example, the Luyas. Right now, of course, if you look at the figures, I think there is a feeling that the top three tribes are now the Kikuyus, the Kalenjins, and the Luyas. But you can see right now, no wonder in Nairobi, and if you look at now the Kibra by-election, there's talk that the Luyas can play a big role in deciding who wins Kibra, for example, and that's why there's that. So let's look at Kibra, and also let's look at how the Luya community is able to galvanize their bloc and be able to play a big role in 2022. So those are things that we wait and see. We look at the voter registration, and I think also later on I hear they say they will release the tribal figures much later. They didn't do that. They did that by counties today, right? Yeah.
Let's just wait and see. Gentlemen, you're winding up this conversation. I'll just request my director for a minute for each. So that's 2 minutes, a minute. Just your sentiments. So the male, our numbers are high than our male the female, our numbers are higher than our male counterparts.
It's always been like that. It's always been like that. I don't know why it's surprising people. Even the 2009 census showed the same, that the females are more than the males, which is usually for a population to grow. That's the demographics that are required. It's just surprising that the northeastern counties, the hardship counties, including Turkana, Isiolo, by the way, Isiolo tops population growth list. Because they got some people from Meru, apparently. Now, that kind of scenario where the females are fewer and you're still getting a population growth, yet we know that women live longer. Women life expectancy is higher than men. So you'd expect women to be more in the society than men.
All right, Mr. Juma.
I think this is good news for the women, and also it should encourage the women to play a bigger role in politics. Women should stop complaining that they are being marginalized because they have the numbers, and if they decide to actually move some of these numbers into voter registration and decide to vote one of their or some of their own into the big offices, then they can play a big role in 2022 and beyond.
All right. So a lot of politics playing around when it comes to the census report. Thank you so much, Tongaren, Member of Parliament, Sally Simio, and Daniel Juma, the Executive Director at Global Peace Foundation, just breaking for us the numbers. It is a developing story. Let's wait and see whether Muthomi Njuki of Tharaka-Nithi County and Kiretu Murungi of Meru County will move to court to challenge the numbers that were released yesterday by the government. Taking us to another short commercial break. Allow me to take a short breather.